Hey, what is up guys? So today we are going to be talking about, does rarity matter in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh? Now obviously this will only apply to real life, so if you're only playing on Dueling Network and DevPro, you don't really need to apply any of these unless you're interested in perhaps playing in physical form in the future. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. And first off, rarity does matter. Let's go ahead and go into an example right now. So when the card Honest came out in Yu-Gi-Oh, it came out in two rarities. It came out in Secret Rare and it came out in Ghost Rare. Now the Ghost Rare card is just, it reflects like crazy. Like look at this. You can get so much reflection off this card. Look at it. It is bright white because the camera can't even pick that up. And one thing that I've always noticed, and sometimes when you go to tournaments, when Lightstorm was really popular, sometimes when players would have the Ghost Rare Honest, you could see it. And the reason why you could see it is because there is so much light beaming down from the event inside the venue that you'd be able to actually see the reflection, because players always, most Yu-Gi-Oh players cannot sit still. They have to be constantly shuffling their cards. And sometimes what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to actually see that reflection. Now I'm going to do this really close up so you guys can actually see, because I don't happen to have venue lights like the super bright ones. So I'm going to have to do this really close to my face. So hopefully you can see over here on my chin the reflection. Let me get it as, oh, there we go. There we go. So hopefully you can see the light that is going on and off near my chin. Then that is actually caused by this Ghost Rare. Now the Secret Rare one won't do that nearly as much. You can barely see it. But the Ghost Rare one, man, look at that. If you guys can't see what I'm talking about, go ahead and try to click on the HD button. Hopefully you can see that. But no joke, you can see the difference between a Ghost Rare and a non-Ghost Rare, whether it be like an Ultra Rare or something like that. The Ghost Rare, like I said, I mean, if you guys can see the camera, it just becomes so bright. Look at that. Like the camera it can't even pick up what the image is because it's just so bright. And that's just caused because I don't know how light works. I'm not a scientist. I am 12. What is physics? But another thing that actually matters is some of the older Hobby League or parallel rare cards, like Royal Decree. Those cards are really thick, and you might not want to play these at tournaments simply because at some places they will actually consider those marked cards. And what a marked card would be, it would be something that where you can see it while the deck is, in that position where it's just you're stacking all the cards on top, and you'd be able to actually see where that Royal Decree is, because that card is super thick. Like it's literally two cards glued together. That card is super thick, and it actually can be a downside too, because if you're placing some of the cards face down in your spell and trap zone, Royal Decree was actually super thick, and sometimes it would just pop up like the sleeve, and you could tell, oh, that's the Royal Decree. I'm gonna MST that one, or I'm not gonna MST that one because I want to hit his Book of Moon or something like that. So Royal Decree and some of the older Hobby League cards, they were just too thick. The best thing to do if you actually want to play some of these cards is ask whoever is running the tournament and say, hey, I play a Hobby League Royal Decree, is this going to be viable? Because you don't want to get banned, or you don't want to get disqualified for running a card because it just happens to be super thick, and that's just the way the card was made, which is kind of interesting that they would make a card that you can't actually play at some tournaments. But nonetheless, that's just how some tournaments are ran, so just be aware of that. Another thing that I want to mention is some cards can be really thin. Duelist Revolution was a set where the ultimate rares were just really flimsy. Now you can feel it in your hand which one is the super rare and which one would be like the ultimate rare for Solemn Warning, because it feels really thin. Now that's not gonna really matter unless your opponent is activating something where, let's say they attack you with Spirit Reaper and they're trying to pick the card and they're kind of feeling around to feel how thin or thick it is. That's kind of irrelevant. The most relevant one I would say would honestly be the Ghost Rares. You'd be able to see that reflection with the Ghost Rares, and just be aware of Hobby League cards. Like I said, some places are actually banned. But for the other part of the video, which I think you guys wanted me to probably talk about, is does rarity matter in the sense, does it make you look like a poor Yu-Gi-Oh player? Because some players, for I don't know what reason, but I've noticed this. If you go to a tournament and you summon like Super Tour Guide, you're like, okay, summon Super Tour Guide. I'm like, ew, is that a Super Tour Guide? That thing looks disgusting. It's like, why? Why you gotta diss my tour guide, man? I mean, it does the same thing. I mean, let's be honest. There's no extra effect that it gets. I know in real life, let's say you happen to have a favorite brand of shoe. I mean, technically shoes, they do the same thing. You put them on your foot and, they're more comfortable. Well, hopefully they're more comfortable. They get you from point A to point B, or a car would get you from point A to point B. But the thing is, with, shoes or a car, there's actually a difference in real life, because you'd actually be able to feel the quality I guess in the cards, I mean, with Ultimate Rare, I guess you could feel it being more flimsy. But for the most part, it's not like the Secret Rare Tour Guide gets another effect where it can't be effect valid or anything like that. It doesn't do anything more. Although, some players, I know that some players have actually said that foil cards happen to be drawn more, which actually is a video I actually want to do in the future. I wanted to somehow test this out, but that's a video for another time. But for the most part, I feel like you shouldn't need to get upset that a player is playing a lower rarity card or if a player is playing a higher rarity card. That's just their preference. Hey, if you like common cards, hey, play the common Judgment Dragon, sack your opponent and summon that common Judgment Dragon and attack them for game with it. And I know some players get upset when they lose to common cards. I don't know why, but I think it's kind of funny. So if you're a troll player, run your deck as low rarity as possible and you're going to make your opponents super upset. I mean, I remember Frog FTK, pretty much I think everything in that deck could be common. But you know, there are players that also like to play, this is actually kind of something that's important to actually matter. This is to mention, this is not actually rarity. It's, well, I mean, some players consider foreign cards a higher rarity. Technically, foreign cards are actually more expensive, like the Larva, oh man, I'm going to slaughter this, Larva de la Nibla. And there is, I don't even, Schwarzer Russian Drakchi. I can't even, I'm sorry, the camera won't focus. Come on, webcam, you can do it. There we go. Yeah, some of the foreign cards, they have crazy names, and some players just really like foreign cards. But the main reason why a lot of players actually play foreign cards, which is kind of a mean thing to do, it's a scumbag thing to do, is because they don't want you to be able to read the card's effect. So let's say, for example, I'm playing against you, I'm going to be the scumbag, I'm going to go ahead and make Mistworm, and I'm going to be like, okay, bounce those 3 cards back. And you'd be like, I'll activate this card that says you can't target. And I'd be like, no, Mistworm's effect doesn't target. And then at that point, I would say, here you go. And then you couldn't read the card. And then at that point, you'd be really frustrated. What the player is supposed to do, even though this never happens, you're supposed to have an English translation for the card. You can print it out. It doesn't have to be another English copy of Mistworm, but you actually have to have the actual translation for it. And also, what's kind of interesting, if you guys have actually read some of the rules in Yu-Gi-Oh, you're not actually allowed to use your any outside sources. So, for example, you couldn't use your cell phone to actually look up the effect of Mistworm during a game, although, well, it's supposed to be so you can't like text your friends and be like, oh, what should I do? Or, you know, you have your friend maybe on the side with binoculars checking out your opponent's hand, and he's telling you in your earpiece exactly what's going on. But yeah, you're supposed to have a translation, so if you want to play foreign cards, it's always better to be safe than sorry, you know, if you don't happen to have the translation, because you can get disqualified, you can lose a round, you can get penalized for it, so just have the translation. But like I said, some players do that because they don't want you to read the card. Some players just personally prefer the card, and that's totally cool too. But as far as rarity goes, because some of you guys be like, Azneyes, do you run high rarity stuff? For the most part, I really don't mind. Whenever I'm looking to make a deck, because I have so many cards, I just kind of, the first card that I grab, you know, whether it be the common version or the ultimate or the secret version, whatever I grab first, that's kind of what I just use, because I want to build my decks as quickly as possible. Now, with Dueling Network and stuff, you know, this definitely changed everything, because you're able to just go in, get the cards that you want, and playtest really, really quick. Because, you know, obviously going through many boxes of cards to try to find that specific card that you want, and that specific rarity can be a nightmare when you have so many cards. But one of my favorite rarities in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is actually Rare. I just like the way Rare looks, even though this one is technically dual terminal. But I really just like Rare. That's actually my favorite rarity in Yu-Gi-Oh! But I would also like to know, what is your favorite rarity in Yu-Gi-Oh! As well as what is your favorite highest rarity card? Personally, for me, My Body as a Swag is my favorite card, even though a lot of players always make fun of me for playing the card. But if you go watch some of the older deck profiles from pro players, they were running My Body as a shield. I still think this card is good. The reason why I love this card so much is because I couldn't afford Solemn Judgment when I first started Yu-Gi-Oh! And this was my poor man's Solemn Judgment. But that card's banned now anyways. Also, I do love to run the dual terminal Gen X controller because I hate drawing this card. I always draw this card when I play. But now it's not too bad with the new, you know, the new synchro, the Leo. But for the most part, I just don't like drawing this card. But if I run the high rarity version of it, when I draw it, I'm like, well, I hate this card, but, you know, at least it looks pretty, right? So there's my excuse for that. But anyways, like I said, let me know your favorite rarity in Yu-Gi-Oh! Also, what is your favorite highest rarity card, whether it be a troll, well, I still don't think this is a troll card. I still think this card is good. Whether it be something random or like Ghost Rare MST or something random. What else is Ghost Rare? Just Ghost Rare Neo Galaxy Eyes. I'm trying to think of cards you can run in the main deck. But yeah, let me know what your favorite rarity is, as well as your favorite highest rarity random card. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Asian Eyes signing out.